AfterBuzzers, this season is almost over. We have only one episode left, but tonight we begin the Battle of the Titans. Who made it to the finals? Stick around.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
There it is. Guys, we are almost wrapped up. It's that time again. It's time for another episode of the Titan Games After Show right here on AfterBuzz TV. My name is Ty Matthews. Joining me, as always, some of my absolute favorite hosts on the network. She's a fitness model. You've seen her here since day one. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Julana Dizon.
Hi. Thank you, Ty. I love your weekly introduction.
Thank you. Gotta get the energy up. We gotta get hyped. To her left, you've seen her on the network before talking about this very show as well as Botch. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Tyra Prude.
Hey guys, and yeah, energy's always great. Love the intros.
It's the Titan Games. It's not only the Titan Games, it's the Battle of the Titans.
Battle of the Titans.
We got a whole lot to talk about. We have been wondering kind of all season long how exactly this was going to shape up, and we finally got to see what exactly is going on. Single elimination tournament, all the competitions that we've seen before, pitting Titan against Titan. What did you guys think?
I mean, it's probably the way that makes the most sense. But honestly, I was kind of hoping for like the option that we touched on where maybe like all of them would be competing at the same time and it would be like a time race instead of like, I think that would have been like really cool.
Same. I was kind of disappointed. I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of like what we've already seen. It was still cool though to see like, you know, the people who've won beat the other competitors that won too. But I wanted to see like them all go at it. I mean, there's still hope. Exactly. Maybe next week.
But I think yeah, we were all expecting like super like amped up versions of the stuff that we've seen, you know? Like these are people that have conquered Mount Olympus, you know?
Right.
So but we'll see. We got so much good stuff, so much good competition tonight. Saw some absolute complete dominance in some of these competitions.
Those ones, the ones that are total domination, they kind of make me sad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because it's just like the other person didn't even have a chance.
Like,
and it makes
no
me feel really
chance
bad
at
for
all.
them.
It gives you a little bit of excitement. It gives you a little bit of that kind of gas. But then exactly, in retrospect, you're like, oh, man.
It gives you excitement until the very end when you're hoping that the other competitor will, like, you know, even it out. But then when they just lose, you're like, oh.
Yeah,
right,
it definitely sucks.
Exactly. So let's start off with... right out the gate, we got our very first competition, Atlas Smash, featuring the Haitian sensation, James Jean Lewis, all the way from episode 1, taking on Christopher Watts. What did you guys think of this one?
James went at it. Like,
so
this
good.
was so good. I don't think we've ever seen anyone, like, smash the big rock ball like how he did.
Right.
Like, he went ham, full force, and even after the second one, even when he started getting tired, like, you just saw him, like, talking to himself, and then, boom, like, killed it.
Yeah, that was my favorite part. He was like, come on, let's go.
I love that. Absolutely.
Sometimes you have to do that to get yourself in the mood, but... Yeah, he was the first one that was going around the ball while he was smashing it, which I thought was really smart because everyone else has just hit it in the same spot.
Right.
Right, but it's, yeah, exactly. As the commentators kind of talk about a little bit later on in the episode, if you're kind of going all the way around it, it almost creates sort of like, I don't know what you would call it, almost like a frame kind of, so that... As we saw with James, just a giant chunk of the stone came right off.
Yeah, that was genius. I was just like, oh my God. And then poor Chris, like I think with this competition, it's easily for you to get distracted on what the other person is doing.
Right.
And I think maybe that's kind of what happened with him as he was breaking in. Then he was like, oh, I'm going to try and go for it. And it was like, oh, it's too heavy. And then had to go back. So it's one of those things where it's like you have to just stay focused on what you're doing to overcome it.
Yeah, exactly. In that way, it reminds me a little bit of Off the Rails, because if you try to take a shortcut, if you try to drop that hammer and pull it too early, then that's going to cost you so much time and having to go all the way back, keep smashing, and then trying it again. Similarly, how in Off the Rails, if you try to throw that real long line and then have to reel it all the way back, that's going to cost you a lot of time.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Exactly. And as we saw in both iterations of Atlas Smash, it's so exhausting. you're putting so much effort into smashing the stone, then pulling it the first time around, you forget you have to do it all over again. You just see that. What did you guys think when you saw that sort of like exhaustion setting in?
Are we talking still about the boys or the girls?
Both. I think we saw it a little bit in the men's competition.
Okay. Yeah, I would say moving on to Jess and Ashley, the girls. I think that's my favorite competition
definitely.
I've seen the whole season.
And the first time that we've seen women compete in Atlas Smash this season.
Right, and well, because of that, because it's such a hard thing, and you could really see, especially with the girls, like the guys get tired, but the girls were like, after their first one, you could tell they were exhausted. And I mean,
literally.
like, if you've ever worked out that hard, you can get exhausted to the point where you literally just want to cry. And I felt like I saw that in them.
Sure.
So,
And then, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And to see like The Rock have to come in and like encourage them, I thought that was pretty cool. Like,
Sure.
if you hear The Rock like,
Oh,
you got it, then it's like, oh shoot, I got it. Let me start like going.
You got to think about how many people in the gym have just like imagined that. Like, what if The Rock was right here?
Right.
I think I'm going to try that next time I go to the gym.
Right.
Because if he's there, you can't not pick up your pace. You
Sure.
can't not
Right.
try
Like,
harder.
So that's what was really cool about it, and they like really went at it because of that. But I thought it was really cool to see that, you know, everyone has their struggles. I think we always see like we see struggles, but to see them both like really like get tired was just like, okay, they're still human. And then it kind of showed like the meaning of the show, being a champion. They still push through while, you know, even though the circumstances were kind of hard for them.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, obviously, everyone on this show is a specimen, spending so many hours and so many days in the gym. But like Ashley Hawkins during the women's competition, the size of her shoulders and her arms, like you got to think you have to have so much strength. I mean, these things are 350 pounds to be able to just knock them off with the ease that Jess Griffith and James Jean Lewis did. But ultimately, James defeats Christopher Watts. Jess Griffith defeats Ashley Hawkins. Both of them moving on to the Titans Championships next week. Absolutely amazing stuff.
One thing I did like about with Jess and Ashley, how they literally used their whole body. They were jumping.
They were like monkeys.
It was amazing. Like I don't think we've ever seen that before either. That was cool.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like throwing that much weight into it, but you got to think that makes them that much more tired and that much more exhausted the second time around, you know?
Yeah.
It's just you can almost feel it as you're watching it, you know?
Yeah.
Like we've all been that tired where we can't even move, you know? But think about being that tired and then having to lift up this giant stone.
Yeah, and twice, because with them in particular, after they got the first one up, you could tell they both kind of turned around. They were like, oh my God, I have to do it again.
Right. So let's talk about the cyclone next. Let's talk about Christiana Roglowski taking on Nika Sedyi. One thing that jumped out to me about the cyclone is that it seemed like Nika was kind of staying still in one spot, staying kind of glued in one spot, whereas Christiana was sort of making her way around the circle. And I think, as we've seen before, the more stationary you stay, the more that kind of works against you, because you're not able to kind of get that momentum, you know? You're not able to kind of get the stone out to those further pillars. What did you guys think of this?
Well, first of all, I thought Christiana was so cute. Did you see her before? Like, before the competition starts, most of them are like in the zone and they're like doing things to get ready, and she's like, she was like smiling at everybody. And then this was like another thing that I thought about, which I don't know how much it really played into her technique, but she works with horses. So she's used to, I mean, she is with a rope every day, you know, leading horses around. And the kind of the motion that she was doing the swings with is kind of the same way that you would train a horse if you have a horse on a lead and you're leading it around a corral, you know? So I just thought maybe that movement was a little bit more familiar with her. Obviously,
that was
it was a lot more weight
I didn't
on
think
it.
of that. Yeah. You would think like the commentators would probably go, you know, talk about that. I don't think they mentioned it either. But
I should be a commentator.
There you go.
You should. Well, you are on our show.
Yeah, there we go. That's good enough.
But I thought it was a really good too, and like going back to what you said about how she was so like calm and sweet, like to see her like dominated, while on the other hand Nika is like this tomboy, like I'm gonna kill it, and then the sweet girl
Yeah.
just takes it in the end.
And then she won, and she was like, yeah,
Exactly.
Right.
And yeah, at 21, she's the youngest Titan in this kind of round of the season. But yeah, she pulled it out, knocked that fifth pillar down, so she makes it on. In the men's competition, we had Brad Schaefer taking on Tyler Lucas. Tyler Lucas, of course, flying all the way over from Ramstein, Germany, avenging the loss of his brother, or not the loss, that sounds like he died.
Yeah.
The defeat of his brother. There you go. Let's say that. Just a couple weeks ago. When Brad kind of lost that momentum, lost that slack, that's got to be both so physically taxing, but also mentally, you know? It's got to be such a blow when you just completely lose all that momentum. What do you guys think?
Well, and I noticed too that with them, his technique was more like he was kind of sidestepping and side shuffling around versus like running forward and pulling the rope behind him. He was kind of square off with it and pulling it around that way.
Yeah, I mean his comeback was amazing. Like when Brad lost his momentum, I was just like, oh, okay, it's kind of over now. And then I think didn't Tyler take down like the last 3 pillars in a row, or from what I remember?
I think so. I think you're right. Yeah,
he
exactly.
came back and like killed it. Like that was another one that kind of blew me away.
Yeah. It seems like one of the tougher competitions to pull out, let alone knocking 3 down all in succession. You know. But we get, so Tyler Lucas defeats Brad Schaefer, advances to the championships next week. We've already got a completely solid field. Guys, remember, if you're watching this on YouTube, we absolutely love you. We want you to be part of the competition. Leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, all that good stuff. If you're on iTunes, you know the drill. Download, comment, review, subscribe, rate 5 stars if you're nasty, all that good stuff. Find us on Twitter, find us on Instagram. Talk about this. We've only got a couple episodes, or one episode after this left. Be part of the conversation. Let's get back into it. Let's talk about the Herculean pull. We talked a little bit about Hercules, or Heracles if you're nasty, last week. We'll get a little bit more into that in our Beyond the Games later on in the episode. But let's talk Bridger Buckley taking on DJ Townsville, both football players, but DJ Townsville, a yoga master. The stuff that he was pulling off in that video, my God.
Yeah, very impressive. I feel like they did a really good job matching up competitors for this one.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I was thinking, like, I wonder really how much thought and how many factors they take in when they pair people up against each other. Like, I wonder if they take in like weight versus muscle mass, or like how much they can lift, or their power and stuff.
Absolutely.
Like
I think, I've got to think they've got it down to a science, you know, whether they're pairing people up based on their size or based on their background, or if they're, you know, if they're blessed with upper body strength versus lower body strength. As we saw in some of the earlier episodes of the season, we saw the people that were top heavy dominate games like Uprising, but then once they get to Mount Olympus, that's where it all falls apart. I think that's very deliberate. That's my theory. I don't know what y'all think. But I think a lot of thought goes into this. A lot of planning goes into pitting these Titans against each other.
Sure. I just wish, like, I really wanted to see more of a stronger competition between them. Like, they both were tied, and Bridger ended up getting the lead, but I wanted to just see them go at it more with the pole. Like, I was really sad that DJ kind of caught on at the end, but
sure.
I mean, it was cool. I guess Bridger got him with his speed, and they were saying strength too, but it was still a good
That's the thing, yeah. Even if you get to it, if it's that far along, there's only so much you can do,
right.
you know?
So it was like, I feel like he would have had it if he just got there a little faster. It was
exactly
one of those unfortunate things. Because he does yoga. Like, we know he's strong.
Right.
He does yoga.
But Bridger Buckley, 6'2", 220 pounds, spends 5 hours a day in the gym.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't quite fight that.
You're right.
But the girls too. The girls were the same.
And exactly. Let's talk about, Charity Witt taking on Kara Lazowskis. My God, talk about dominance.
That was amazing. Like, Charity killed it. I literally have it in my notes. Charity kills it and wins.
And wins. Highlight. Yeah, I was sad about this one. I was happy for her, but I was sad for Kara because this was a total domination one.
Yeah.
Right.
And Kara just didn't have any. I mean, she didn't even have her second pull-out, so she literally did not even touch the golden
She
pull.
couldn't figure out how to pull it.
Right.
I think she just kind of got stuck. If if she was able to successfully figure out how to pull it out, I think it would have been different because she was great in her previous episode.
Oh, she
killed everything.
Talk about dominance. Her first performance that we saw earlier in the season was absolutely astounding, which is why, it's so much more disappointing seeing it go down like this. But like you said, the way that the commentators broke it down, in order to pull those silver poles out, you have to lift up first and then pull. But she's just pulling back, so the friction is working against her that whole time. And this is the first time we've ever seen the golden pole get pulled out completely untested, completely unchallenged.
Yeah, it wasn't even a competition, really.
Right.
It was like, I'm faster than you.
So that's what made it suck, because it's like that was more technique, not like bodies. Skill, if that makes sense.
But you got to think it's a combination of all the things.
True.
If we're talking about strength and agility, you've also got to throw in how exactly you play the game. I mean, we've seen before with God, I'm completely forgetting the name of a giant kerplunk. Whichever that one is, the technique there, as we saw, that kind of worked against guys before, because when they tried pulling that golden pole at too early, that ball just completely locked up and it lost them the competition. So there's a lot to be said for paying attention to kind of who came before you and paying attention to how exactly you have to do these things. But it's absolutely unbelievable. Charity Witt, she said this quote, and obviously we've seen so many amazing stories and so many kind of inspirational tales, but one quote from Charity Witt that I absolutely just completely fell in love with, she says, "I don't quit when I'm tired, I quit when I'm done." And I think that not much encapsulates kind of the people that are on this show more than that.
That was a good quote. I'm sorry, I was like taking it in. I don't want you to think I wasn't like talking. I was just like, whoa, that was deep.
It's deep. It's inspirational. That's what I'm saying.
I quit when I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done, so I didn't quit, but I did. I don't know.
I finished.
Right.
That's what it is. You finish when you're done.
There you go. Exactly. Now let's talk about Lunar Impact. Firstly, let's talk about, Emily Anzulis taking on Jackie Wood, the pit bull versus the swim coach.
Yeah.
Jackie Wood completely dominates this competition.
Total domination.
Like, oh my God, that moment of impact when Emily gets hit by that door.
It was so sad.
That didn't look good.
I honestly think this is I like it. It's a cool course, but it sucks at the same time. Like, I hate seeing them bang against the wall and then just get wiped off.
I know.
It gives me a lot of anxiety.
Oh, sure. No, that's understandable.
I think this is the worst one if you lose, because it's probably like the most embarrassing, because you literally fall off the cliff and then you just drop.
Right.
If you put it that
You're
way,
like, I definitely lost, and everybody can see right now. But
no way around it.
That's a great point. Every other competition, none of them are as decisive as Lunar Impact.
I think that's why it hurts my feelings the most.
You have to literally fall in defeat.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. Can we talk about Derek?
We'll get to that.
Okay, I'm too excited.
But I think what we saw demonstrated in Jackie versus Emily is that this competition truly lives or dies based on who makes it up that ladder first. If you make it up first and you get to that door with enough of a head start, that it's as good as won, basically, at that point. You have so much momentum working against you to try and work back from that I think that's what we saw when Jackie got to it first.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. I mean, Emily, she literally had no chance.
Right. So it's unfortunate, Emily, 5'2", a black belt, the pit bull. We've seen so much amazing stuff from her this season, but Jackie Wood just that much quicker. And sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah. But like I said, this is the worst way to lose also, not just for this one in particular, but any of the ones that are like where they've been totally dominated, like even the Herculean pull also. Because when you don't have a chance, like if you actually don't even have a chance to struggle and fight against the other person, it's like you just lost and you're like, oh, I didn't even get to try.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
Right.
So
It sucks.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, but I mean, that's, high risk, high reward, If you don't make it up that ladder first, you might just be falling completely off the platform.
You're like, you snooze, you lose.
Exactly.
I wonder if people fight it. After the competition, maybe they're upset off camera and I feel like I didn't have a chance, or I thought about that last week with the guy who pulled one of the poles before the top one. And
Oh,
it's just
yeah, exactly what we were talking about earlier. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm curious to know how that goes afterwards when it's I didn't even have a chance. All
Right.
this training I've been doing. I don't know. I feel like there's some angry person out there.
I'm sure they're
I'm
angry.
sure, yeah.
I'm sure they're angry. I hope nobody feels slighted or anything,
Right.
because everything, at least, obviously, a lot happens in the edit. Everything that we've seen seems to be on the up and up.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows if other stuff happened off camera or behind the scenes or anything like that.
And they probably signed so many papers, so if there
True.
was anything, we'll never know.
Possibly.
Exactly,
Sure,
exactly.
we'll never
Let's get Shannon Decker back on the show.
Yeah,
We'll
there were
ask
just
her
a
about
few,
it.
even I can't remember her name. She was the grandma or mom. You remember she had
Sure.
she did when you have to run and the ball hits the blocks. I can't remember what
Uprising.
It's called. Uprising. And you remember how hers kind of indented to where the ball couldn't come up.
Right.
I was thinking can she have an argument with that, or I don't know.
A rematch.
Yeah, it's just
Just
I don't know.
unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlucky.
Right. But yeah, so let's move on. The final competition of the night, the men's Lunar Impact. Cole Wadsworth, the farmer from Utah, taking on Derek Scott, the lawyer and MMA fighter. My God.
Epic last
I have
competition.
OMG! Exclamation point! Exclamation point!
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Yep,
This
she
was
does.
just there wasn't a whole lot of verbose analysis going on as we were watching this before we
just
went
like,
live.
what?
We're just all jaws dropped, eyes bugging out. Cole Wadsworth looks like he's running away with the thing, pushes Derek Scott almost to the very, very, very edge. Oh my God, I could not believe how close he got. And Derek Scott just from somewhere deep within starts pushing back. What did you guys think just when he started pushing back?
Yeah, I mean, I need to know where he pulled that up from.
Right.
I need access to that extra power.
Sure.
Honestly, I think I think Cole had just got really tired, and it was just I put my all into it, and he lost that momentum too soon. He was right there, and that one little slip up, Derek came back and stole the show, literally.
Yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
yeah, you got to think you've got to have that one last ditch kind of explosion to finally make sure that they're completely off the platform.
I think he
Otherwise,
just-
something like this might happen.
Yeah, I think he kind of just lost it too soon, and then next thing you know,
Dude, I felt so bad for him, though, because, I mean, another really unlucky, unfortunate circumstance. that-
Sure.
I mean, the way his feet ended up getting caught under that bar.
I was concerned for him at
I
that
thought
point.
he was going to break his
and
toes.
I was so confused that I felt like no one was concerned. You did not hear the commentators saying anything. Everyone's just oh, Derek's going for it. I'm guys, his foot is under the pole.
Yeah, I really thought that, it looked to me like his toes were stuck under the
Yeah.
entire
Right,
platform.
right,
so I
right.
thought his foot would be broken or twisted or something. I
Yeah.
mean, he said he
They're
was
just
fine to the rock, but
Right.
I'm sure it hurt a little bit.
Yeah, you're not going to tell The Rock
Right.
you got hurt.
Right. But that was insane. Literally, I had to look away. I'm oh my God, is he going to break a leg?
I
Is something going
know.
to happen? I was just worried about even when it was time for him to fall, was his leg caught onto it to where he couldn't? I mean, that didn't
Right,
happen,
right,
but
right.
those were just the thoughts going through my mind as that was going on.
No, it was concerning for sure. One thing that jumped out to me about not only Lunar Impact, but also what we talked about earlier, the Herculean pull with Bridger Buckley versus DJ Tenzel, is the importance of that grunting and that exertion, I feel like we haven't seen a lot of that, but we saw a lot of it in this episode.
Yeah.
Just digging deep and kind of with James in the Atlas smash as well, that kind of that verbalizing everything and kind of pushing yourself. I feel like that helps a lot of the time, just that screaming and grunting, It's wild to watch, and it makes it feel even more like the Hunger Games, But it's absolutely incredible stuff. Derek Scott pulling out somehow victory from the jaws of defeat, as some of my favorite commentators would say, and running away with Lunar Impact to be the final competitor to make it to the Titan Championships next week.
Amazing.
Woo.
One thing that I have wrote down, like after he had his win, like Derek was like, "I love you so much, brother. This is for you." That touched me so much because I feel like that's where those grunts and everything came from too. Like, I can't give up. I can't let my brother down. Like, I just thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right. It's a moving tribute, and it's such a heartwarming kind of story. You know, his brother Ian passed away, and so that's what pushed him to do all of these things and to get into all of these sports and all of these adventures is trying to be, you know, he talked about being the best big brother that he could be, but also just like what it seems like just living as much life as he can and being the best person that he can be.
Yeah. And it definitely showed in this, what am I trying to say?
In this
event course.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Exactly. I always find myself almost saying obstacle, but it's so much more than that. These are a whole series of obstacles. So we've got 8 Titans left to compete in the championship next week, the final episode. We'll get into predictions in a little bit, but as we do every week, or as we do most weeks, I'm going to take you a little bit behind the games. Steven, can you hit me with a sound drop? Just anything? There you go.
Oh, that's a good one.
I love when Steven's on the soundboard. It's my favorite. Just anything you want to hit.
You know it's Brianna on the sound.
Oh, it's Bree.
Hey, Bree.
Bree is also one of my absolute favorite people in the world. So let's get into, we're talking about the Battle of the Titans, but I want to talk a little bit about the Clash of the Titans. I don't know how much you guys know about the Clash of the Titans, but it came out in 1981. It was directed by this gentleman right here. Our YouTube viewers will be able to see it on their screens. This gentleman by the name of Desmond Davis. He directed the original Clash of the Titans. Now, there was a remake, a big, epic 3D remake in 2010. We're not talking about that one. We're talking about the OG Clash of the Titans right here, directed by Desmond Davis. It tells the story of Perseus. Now, Perseus in Greek mythology, there he is, right there, my boy Perseus, holding the head of Medusa. He was the greatest slayer of monsters before the era of Heracles or Hercules, who was also his great-grandson.
Wow.
But this guy right here is what Clash of the Titans is known for. This is a gentleman by the name of Ray Harryhausen, who was a pioneer in the art of stop-motion animation. And Clash of the Titans was not only his most notable work, but it was his final work before he retired. And as you'll see, there's Medusa, there's Cerberus, there's, I believe, Gorgon. I'm not quite sure. But Ray Harryhausen absolutely pioneered stop-motion animation, paved the way for movies like all of the Leica movies that we see these days, things like Paranorman, Coraline, all that stuff, movies like The Corpse Bride. Anything stop-motion animation was touched in some way by Ray Harryhausen. And since we're talking about Battle of the Titans, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Clash of the Titans. So go find that. It's an amazing movie. When it came out, it wasn't completely beloved. It's only sitting at 68% on Rotten Tomatoes, which could be better, could be worse. But yeah, it's worth it to check out the amazing work of Ray Harryhausen. It holds up more than you think. I'll say that. We can't show you a clip, but go find Clash of the Titans on YouTube. There's amazing stuff out there. It's awesome. Awesome to see.
How long is it? Is it like normal movie length?
I don't think it's super long. I think it might be maybe 80, 90 minutes, something like that. I don't think it's a huge epic. I'm not entirely sure. We're gonna find out real quick. But yeah.
48 minutes long.
It's how much?
48 minutes.
48 minutes. Oh my God. It's especially short. I was not expecting that at all. So yeah, go find that. Go check that out. We got Perseus cutting the head off Medusa and fighting Cerberus, or maybe not Cerberus, maybe that was Hercules. I don't know. Go find Clash of the Titans. If you want to watch the remake, I think Sam Worthington was in it. That was all right. But OG, that's what we're talking about. So we've got 8 people left. All right? So let's talk a little bit about what we think is going to happen. Let's get into some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, one episode left. We have got James Jean Lewis taking on Bridger Buckley, Derek Scott taking on Tyler Lucas on the men's side. On the women's side, we've got Christiana Roglaski taking on Jackie Wood, and Charity Witt taking on Jess Griffith. I want to ask you guys, is there anyone jumping out in your minds that you think will go all the way?
Well, for me, I just had this feeling about Jackie. So I'm going to put Jackie as the overall winner.
Okay.
However, I also had a good feeling about Christiana, but they're competing in the first round.
Sure.
So obviously can't be both of them.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know. Something is telling me Jackie.
You're going with Jackie.
I'm gonna
Okay,
go
going with the
Jackie.
swim coach. All right, I see it. Tyra, what do you think?
For women, I'm going with Jackie also. I think
Interesting.
She like did her thing today.
Sure.
So, but it's between her and Charity. Those are my two.
Okay. All right.
And then, can I say the men?
Oh yeah, of course. No, both sides.
James Jean Lewis. I think he really showed. He did good today. He
I think
has
you're right.
good technique and he's strong. I can see him going on. Him and Derek.
Definitely.
Yeah, the guys is harder for me. I feel like all the ones that are final now, I feel like they're all pretty equal.
Sure.
In size and strength and ability. I really don't know. I would maybe also. I don't know. Give me a minute to think about it.
We'll come back to it. Okay. I'm thinking. I'm on the same page as Tyra with James Jean Lewis. I think the Haitian sensation is gonna take it all next week in the Titan Championship on the men's side. On the women's side, it's I feel like it's closer. They're all, like you said, they're all kind of so even.
Yeah.
I would love to see Christiana Roglaski, the youngest competitor in the championship, take it all the way. 21 years old, win the whole thing. I'd like to see that, but who knows? It all depends on what events we see and what skill sets they favor. You know.
Well, okay, help me with the guys. So who's matching up against each other?
James Jean Lewis will be taking on Bridger Buckley, and
Okay.
Derek Scott will be taking on Tyler Lucas.
Okay, so I'm gonna say James and Tyler
Okay.
to be in the final.
Okay.
And then if that was the case, I would have to go James.
Sure,
To win.
sure.
Although Tyler, I would say, is my favorite.
Right, exactly. It's hard not to root for him with that whole background, that whole story.
Yeah.
Just like Christiana is my favorite.
Of course.
But I think Jackie might.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. They're all good. So it's just like, I think we're gonna be surprised.
Exactly. Yeah, we saw in the preview. We might see a little bit of uprising. We might see some other stuff. You know, who knows? It's all gonna depend on what events they are. Like I said, what skill sets they favor. Who knows? It's going to be exciting stuff. If you guys have any sort of predictions, make sure to find us on Twitter, find us on Instagram, leave us a comment on YouTube, on iTunes, all that good stuff. But we will be back next week, same time, same channel, talking about the season finale of Titan Games. Guys, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they can find you?
Hey guys, you can find me on Instagram at Julana. But yes, please leave us a comment. I really want to know who everybody thinks is going to be the winner. I'm really interested to know. So let us know what you think.
Saying what she said. And you guys can find me on all social media platforms at _Tyra Prude. And you can also find me on the Botched After Show. And again, here next week.
There you go. Guys, as always, my name is Ty Matthews. Y'all can find me on all forms of social media at Ty Matthews PMA. That's Twitter, that's Instagram, that's the PlayStation Network. I'm rocking the LA Gladiators hat right here for the Overwatch League. Shields up! If you're on PlayStation Network, come play Overwatch with me, all that good stuff. I'm also on the Magicians After Show on Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Pacific time. We're rolling on with season 4, all that good stuff. Lots of magical stuff happening. On Saturdays, if you're a wrestling fan, check me out on Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, all that good stuff. But we will be back, like I said, next week talking the Titan Championships. But until then, peace.
Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.